The owners of the Sabbath revolve around the divine commandment and the subsequent choices and retributions faced by the Jews. God initially commanded the Jews to venerate Friday as a sacred day. However, the Jews, bowing to tradition and their interpretation that God rested on Saturday after the creation, chose to honor the Sabbath instead. God, expressing his ultimate authority, allowed them their choice but mandated strict observances and prohibitions. The Christians, following a similar path of reinterpretation, chose Sunday for their reverence, citing that God began creation on that very day. This led to unique obligations for each, emphasizing the weight of their choices. Narrated in Hadith by al-Bukhari and Muslim through Abu Huraira from the Prophet, God's guidance is highlighted, showing that despite being the last in chronology, their alignment to divine will position them to precede in the day of resurrection. God imposed Friday on the Jews, yet they chose the Sabbath, arguing that God created nothing on the Sabbath and thus requested it to be their day. Once granted, they disobeyed the divine commandment and engaged in activities initially forbidden to them on the Sabbath. This narrative focuses on a seaside village where fish, including whales, would appear abundantly on the Sabbath, taunting the Jews. On other days they were absent. This was a divine test for their obedience. Their souls, succumbing to temptation and disobedience, led them to deceive God by manipulating the command with various tricks. They constructed barriers to trap fish on the Sabbath, collected them on Sunday, or set traps, claiming they weren't catching fish directly on the Sabbath. They even tied whales only to pull them out later, believing they circumvented the divine order. The prophet warned against such deceitful paths, urging not to follow the Jews' example lest similar paths be taken to make forbidden acts permissible. Jews warned their communities against these practices, arguing adherence to divine command. So God punished them because they turned into monkeys and pigs,